Yin is kind of the attitude that we're getting asked to put on. We're being asked to rest and step into moments of regeneration. Energetically, yin is more interior. It's more yielding and passive, more allowing and nurturing darkness. So really utilizing this hour to cultivate those energetic qualities just as much as you're diving into the anatomical part of it as well. If we hadn't met, my name is Greta, and this is a posers class. So thank you all so much for being here. And I think we'll start class with 1 Om. If you want to find a comfortable seat, you can anchor the tailbone down, the spine spring up, relax the shoulders. You can shut down the eyes if that feels safe to you. And first, we'll take a clearing breath. Inhale in through the nose. And exhale, HA. And this time, inhale, prepare for 1 Om. Inhale, breathe in. And exhale, let the breath go. And we'll start class today in Balasana, child's pose. Bringing the toes to touch, knees can extend or they can be together, arms out long in front of you, or they can also be at your sides. And just taking a moment to arrive. Noticing the points of contact between the body and the floor. Any textures or tactile sensations. And in this first posture, this first yin posture, I'll go over yin and also like the 3 tenets of this practice. I'm gonna do the poses kind of in the class, but I also am gonna peek up and check on you all and make sure everything's going okay. So let me know if you ever have any questions. You can put them in the box, or I'll try to keep an eye on that. But arriving into child's pose. And I already spoke a little bit at the beginning about the energetic qualities. It's gentler, it's slower. We're definitely being asked to be slower. It's more passive, it's more accepting. And there's 3 truths to this practice, 3 tenets. And the first is to meet your gentle edge. And it might be like 70% of where you would go in a more intense vinyasa class. And the main thing here is that you're going to be able to sustain the posture for time. And so the first is to be still. Or the first is to hold the tenets of yoga. I'm getting them mixed up. The first is to meet your edge, and the second is to be still. And that is definitely the hardest part. It's a challenge to stay still for so long. But knowing that it's a really great time to practice meditation and also to focus on the breath, direct your awareness elsewhere. And there are 2 reasons that you would move for a class. The first is if you are experiencing any pain. And pain is like a sharp sensation, it's a stabbing sensation, it could be a tingling sensation. We want to avoid all of those sensations during class. Tingling will cause nerve damage, potentially. So just avoiding all that and receding, pulling back the edge if you're experiencing any of those things, adding a prop, adding a pillow. A couch cushion actually makes a pretty good bolster, using a book as a block. So there's lots of option for props. And then the third thing is to hold for time. And I'm going to keep track of time on my phone. So don't worry, I'm not like checking texts or Instagram or something. And I'll give a halfway mark and a final minute, with the exception of this posture, because I'm kind of getting into the inside of things. And when you do meet your edge, just consider how it's going to evolve over time and let the muscles relax, have them stop firing. I know this practice is going to be process oriented, and it's also like I can't be in this space with everyone. So it's very, very much self-adjudicated. So knowing that you're always going to have the best answers for your body is your own best guide. And the only other things that I'll add is definitely treat yourself with compassion and kindness in this practice. Give yourself the space to be still and receptive. And then when you do come up and out of the posture, oftentimes the bones and the joints are going to feel super creaky and old, and that's totally normal. It's going to feel like you may have fast forwarded like 40, 60 years into the future. They're also going to bounce back super quickly. And we talked about the energetic qualities of yin, but in terms of anatomy and physiology, we're stressing and compressing the connective tissue, the ligaments, the bones, and the joints. And our muscles, they love to stretch and move. They love repetitive movement, but the connective tissue and the more yin side, the fascia, the ligaments, the bones, and the joints, they have to be accessed in a different way, and it's through these long holds that we access them. It helps the regenerations of the bones, and it helps also prevent like the shrink wrapping of the connective tissue in your body. And gently, over the next few breaths, press up into a tabletop, stacking the shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the knees, and finding a sense of spinal neutrality. It might feel good to kick one leg behind you, the other leg behind you, taking any natural, organic counter movement. You can even flow through a few rounds of cat and cow, undulating the spine through flexion and extension. And then sink the hips towards the left, so you come into a seat. And we're gonna practice a forward fold. And for the first 3 minutes, I thought we would practice Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet to touch. And then I thought for the second half, we could practice Paschimottanasana or GretaHeller. So we get to use both of the forward folds. If you want to just choose one and go with it, you're more than welcome to do so. But for Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. And in yin, we definitely want to make sure we're leaving space in between the heels and the pelvis. We don't want it to be super close, creating like a very loose diamond shape with the legs. And then we can inhale, find length in the spine, making sure the pelvic bowl is tilting down. And exhale, fold forward. And this is a really good opportunity to use a pillow if you have one, or if you have maybe a few pillows, you could stack them up and let the chest rest down onto the makeshift bolsters, or if you even have a bolster at home. And I'm gonna go ahead and start our timer here. Okay. And for our yin practice, we tend to practice in terms of temperature in a cool room, and also in silence. So giving yourself the space to be still and practice the energetic qualities like receptivity and allowing. And if the mind does get super loud, knowing that your breath is going to be your best tool, you can focus by counting the breath. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. You can hold at the bottom, or you can hold at the top, practicing retention of the breath. You can change the count, make it longer, make it shorter. And we're already a minute into the hold. And acknowledging the external sounds, and using them as an opportunity to recenter and refocus your awareness. All right, and we are at the 3-minute mark. And so I'm going to acknowledge this as halfway. So you are more than welcome to stay here in Supta Baddha Konasana or just Baddha Konasana, or you're more than welcome to kind of switch it up and practice Paschimottanasana or caterpillar. So for caterpillar, you'd extend the legs out long in front of you, letting the pelvic bowl tilt down again, and then letting the chest fall forward. The spine really rounds here. It doesn't have to be active and engaged. The head hangs heavy, and just letting the weight of your body and the weight of gravity pull you forward. And always remembering you don't have to identify with what the mind thinks. And also acknowledging that practicing stillness and silence, especially when it's not necessarily encouraged in our society. I feel like there's a lot of hustling and um, just like getting stuff done, a lot of yang energy that's encouraged in our society, especially like even like in this time where we're being encouraged to stop and slow down. There's still like a lot of productivity being encouraged. So just know that you have this full hour to be here, and we are practicing being slow. We are practicing yin. We are practicing nourishing and allowing. So inviting those qualities in and accepting them. And this is the final minute. Vertebrae by vertebrae, unfurl the spine, moving with attention, moving deliberately, lift the chest, rise up. And after a long forward fold like that, it might feel good to do some counter movements. Options include coming into this form of tabletop, pressing the pelvis up, maybe tilting the head back. Or it might feel good to extend the legs out and then press the pelvis up, pressing the hands into the mat. Or maybe it feels good to bounce the legs. There's no prescribed movement that is the perfect remedy, so really listening to the body. And then we'll move into Sphinx pose, working into the lower back. So come onto your bellies and bring the forearms to the mat. And the intention here is compression of the lumbar spine, the lower back. And so finding a degree that is interesting to you. If it feels like too much compression in the lower back, you can always walk the forearms forward, or you can create a little bit more distance in terms of width in between the forearms. And if you're not feeling anything at all, you could always put like a book under each forearm. It's going to help elevate the chest a little bit more. And we're going to be here for 2 minutes, and then we're going to take sleeping infant on one side, and then we're going to come back to Sphinx for 2 minutes, and then we're going to do sleeping infant on the other side. So just giving you a little heads up on what the plan is here. And we're at the halfway point for the first round of Sphinx. You can slowly lower the belly down to the mat and move the forearms down by your side. And we'll work into sleeping infant or napping baby. And this posture honestly looks a lot like Spider-Man or Spider-Person crawling up a building. I'm going to go ahead and demo it on the left side so you can see a little better of what it would look like. But you bend the right knee and bring it out towards the sides. So you're kind of creating a 90-degree angle with the leg. And then go ahead and bring the left cheek to the mat and the arms cactus by your face. And just in case that wasn't clear, I'll stand up and kind of do like, it's like this, but laying down. And we'll be here for 3 minutes on each side. And using this as an opportunity to really feel the contact points between your body and the mat, tapping into the heartbeat, feeling the warmth of your body, the weight. And tapping into the rest and digest response, strengthening the parasympathetic nervous system, or at least just tapping into it. And we're at the halfway mark. And coming back to the yin qualities. And knowing that yin, it's not even an absolute term. It's very much relative to yang. Yang is motion, it's activity, it's light. It's very solar. And so yin, in contrast, is slower and darker and more wet and more mysterious, all those things. But the two of them, they really balance each other out, and they couldn't exist without the other. We'll pass the final minute. And bring the right leg in to meet the left. Bring the neck back to neutral. And we'll go for another round of Sphinx pose. And for this round, we're going to do it for 3 minutes. And on the final minute, there's option to press up into seal. So I'll let you know when that time comes. But for Sphinx, coming back to the forearms, the soft part of the belly is on the mat, top of the legs, top of the feet. And finding the appropriate edge, knowing that sustainability is the name of the game. And if it ever becomes too much in the elbows, you can always put a pillow under the elbows or a pillow under the chest, in between the chest and the arms. Sometimes that helps support that action of lifting the chest. And we're at the halfway mark. And we're at the final minute. So option to stay like this, or option to press up into seal, pressing the forearms into the mat, really actively lifting the chest, the heart shines forward, sternum up. And if you come up and you're like, ooh, is this too much? You can always come back down. We'll be here for just a minute. And if you've gone up into seal, you can lower the belly down onto the mat. And we'll practice sleeping infant on the other side. So this time bending the left knee and bringing the right cheek to the mat, cactusing the arms by your face. Belly touches the earth. And we'll be here for 3 minutes on this side. Notice if the mind has traveled into its habitual loops, if it's wandered to planning or dwelling or brooding or any of its normal functions, and trying to come back to right now and really give yourself this hour. It's only an hour. That stuff is all going to be there at the end. We're at the halfway mark. Final minute. Gently swivel the head back. Bring the neck back. And bring the left leg back to meet the right leg. And press up into a tabletop, stacking shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the knees. It might feel good to flow through a few rounds of flexion, extension of the spines. You might want to shrug the shoulders, roll them, sway through the hips, any natural organic movement. And then come to a seat. And I thought we would take twisted root this evening. So you can first let the legs windshield wiper left to right, right to left, kind of just feeling the internal and external rotation of the hip. And then come back to center. And for this posture, you're going to bring the right leg up and over the left leg. So the left leg the knees are bent and the right leg is swung up and over the left. And when you arrive here, and if you feel any tension in the bottom knee, you're welcome to extend the left leg out. That's going to release that tension. If you're feeling a lot of pressure in the top knee, you can put a block in between the legs or a book, or if you have a pillow, that might help. And in a vinyasa class, this might be called cow face pose or gomukhasana. But in yin, they call it shoelace. So right leg up and over the left. And we'll do a gentle twist before we get into the forward fold. Bring the left hand onto the right thigh and gently twist towards the right, stretching through the side body, lengthening through the spine. And then a little counter movement, swiveling towards the left, twisting towards the left. And come back to center. And this is a good place to be if you're already feeling enough intensity in the legs, or option today to fold forward. Let the palms touch the mat. You can walk them out in front of you. Let the head hang. Maybe even let the head fall on top of the knee or over the knee. And we'll be here for 4 minutes. And coming back to the tattvas of yoga, meeting a gentle edge, knowing it's a sustainable place to be, and that this is your process. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It never has to be this cookie cutter or this perfect mold of a shape. If you're feeling it, you're definitely just doing it. And we're at the halfway mark. And if you're invited to go deeper into the posture, follow that edge. It's becoming too much, you can always back out. Give yourself a little space. Final minute. And acknowledging any external distractions. I know there's more distractions for me in my home practice these days. So that's just part of the new current reality and being okay with it and using the challenge as an opportunity to recenter and refocus. Come back to your practice. And gently press the hands back towards your knees, lift the chest, elevate the torso. And from here, we're actually going to work into half pigeon. If you like to take figure four on your back, you're more than welcome to go there, but we're going to practice first on the right side. So for half pigeon, you can leave the right shin forward and then extend the left leg out long behind you and taking a moment to arrive. There are a lot of really good ways to do this practice. The heel can absolutely be super close to the pelvis, so shin doesn't have to be parallel to the front. And since we're going to be here for 4 minutes, that's longer than you would hold in the usual vinyasa class, think about how far you really want the edge to be. You might pull back a little bit. And this is also a really good opportunity to use props. You can put a block under the right glute or a book or a rolled up another mat or perhaps a pillow. You can grab a regular pillow and put it underneath the chest. So there's lots of opportunity here to utilize props, especially at home. There's so many options. And then slowly walking the forearms forward. Maybe meeting a block, maybe meeting a pillow, and then letting the head hang, maybe letting the forehead meet the earth. And I'll practice it this way too. Knowing that the hips and the shoulders, I tend to store a lot of tension and there's a lot of muscle there. They're very active ball and socket joints. So there's usually a lot of intensity here. So kind of just learning to be with that slight discomfort or for real, just discomfort. And we're at the halfway mark. Final minute. You can slowly press the palms back into the mat. Activate your arms and walk the hands back towards the pelvis. You can tuck under the back left toe and activate the back leg and come into a downward facing dog. Bend one knee, the other knee, and just kind of relish in the release of the posture, or the echo, I've heard it called. And then we'll go ahead and do all of that on the other side. So coming to tabletop, stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and we'll come into a different entry point of shoelace this time. So if you want to bring the right leg behind the left leg, so the left leg is on top of the right, and then slowly sink the hips back and press the body back with the hands. And you might arrive first on the sitting on top of the foot. So from there, letting the hips sink off towards the right and kind of adjusting in your body how it's gonna feel appropriate for you. Again, if there's a lot of intensity in the bottom knee, you can extend the right leg out long, or if there's a lot of intensity in the top leg, you can put something in between there, a block or a pillow. And coming into shoelace or Gomukhasana on this side, I'll go ahead and face the front so you can kind of see the leg formation. Left leg over the right thigh. And we'll do the twist just like we did on the other side. Bring right hand to left thigh and twist towards the left, swiveling the chest, the torso, lengthening the spine, twisting, and then come back to center. Do a counter twist, twist towards the left. Right hand can plant on the ground behind you, really twisting and turning here. And then go ahead and come back to center. And inhale to find length in the spine. And exhale to slowly fold forward. And finding a degree that is interesting and pertinent to you. And I'll go ahead and set the timer here. And we'll be here for 4 minutes on this side as well. And then using each hold as a little mini meditation, as an opportunity to return again and again, come back. And not chastising yourself or judging yourself for distracting, or if the mind is thinking, because that's what it's going to do, but giving yourself a little reminder to come back. And we're at the halfway mark. And final minute. And vertebrae by vertebrae, unfurl the spine, press the palms back towards your knees, lift the chest, move slowly, don't have to rush it along, bringing the chest all the way up. And then we'll do half pigeon on the other side, and always option to practice figure 4 on your back, but the left shin is already in front, so keeping the left shin where it is and extending the right leg behind you, taking a moment to level the hips, finding a sense of neutrality there, and then giving yourself the time to set this up. Maybe you want to put a block under the left glute, maybe there's a book that fits under there, so whatever is going to work for you today. And then you can slowly walk the arms forward and bring the chest down to the earth. And we'll be here for just as long on this side. And then we'll just do a gentle twist. We're not going to hold the twist today, and Shavasana. And also knowing that when you give yourself the space to be still, you may be met with an emotion or a memory or something else might bubble up. And knowing that this practice of introspection and self-study that's definitely, it just comes with the practice. So knowing that that is normal and can happen during the practice. And we're at the halfway mark. And final minute. And gently press the palms into the mat. Activate the arms. You can gently lift the chest up. Tuck under the back toes. Engage your back leg. And come into downward facing dog. Just kind of wiggle it out. Let the release feel good. And then making your way down to a seat. And we'll seal class out with just a little bit of twisting on each side. So come to laying on your backs. And hug the knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And then let the legs fall towards the left. The entire structure just fall towards the left. Gentle supine twist. Gaze can be up. Gaze can be towards your fingertips. Right arm can be casted out like half of a T. And then bring the knees back towards center. And let the legs fall towards the right. Left arm this time goes out like half of a T. Gaze can follow the hand, or gaze can be up towards, or maybe towards the trees or towards the ceiling. And then bring the knees back towards center. And meeting in Apanasana, it's kind of a cannonball shape. You can wrap the arms around the tops of your shins, kind of embracing yourself, embracing this work that you were doing, this practice. And then release into Shavasana, final rest. Let the limbs extend long. There's always the option to practice on your belly, or you can roll over, practice in a fetal position, or you can grab a blanket for a little extra warmth. And I'll let you know when it's time to come up and out of the practice. And if you need something to center your awareness on, focusing on third eye center, focusing on the breath. Third eye center is the Anya chakra. It's the seat of imagination and intuition and clarity, clear vision. The color associated there is purple or indigo or violet. And returning the awareness again and again. And you are at home, so you're more than welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. But otherwise, you can invite some subtle movement back into your fingers, gentle wiggling, bouncing of the body, little micro movement. And then extend the arms above you like you would stretching in the morning. And hug the knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. And roll over onto the left or the right side. And left is going to be more lunar, more intuitive, more receptive. Right is going to be more solar, more active. Maybe you have something to do after this. And honoring yourself for doing this practice, for practicing yin both energetically and also anatomically, honoring where you are in your process, knowing that that is enough, honoring your experiences and your teachers. They come in many forms, and also honoring my teachers, who I have learned from, and the teachers of the lineage of this practice. And you can gently press yourself up to a seat and keep the eyes closed. And we'll meet with hands at heart center. And the Anjali Mudra gesture represents non-dualism, the coming together of oppositional forces and where they meet at the heart. And then bringing hands from heart center to third eye, strengthening connection between your heart and your mind. And bowing forward to seal in your practice, honoring your whole self, both the light and the dark qualities. Namaste. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for practicing yin with me. doing yin outside was a little bit of an experiment. You'll have to let me know kind of what you thought. I personally got absolutely freezing, so I probably won't do it outside again. But maybe a morning class when it's a little bit more sunny. I am so grateful to this community, and I'm so happy that we have adapted and moved forward with online classes. They've really been really grounding for me to both practice and teach. So thank you. And please donate. I know it's kind of like a weird time for everyone, but this community is super important. I'll put my Venmo information right here. And like knowing that your presence is always appreciated. And if you got a little, just give a little. And if things are feeling more stable to you, can be a little bit more generous. Boop, there's my Venmo. Otherwise, I'm actually gonna unplug this. Hi. Oh, I'm gonna unmute you all.
Thank you, Greta.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hi.